My name is Keith Davis, and I am the founder and president of the Golden Pear Cafes. My wife and I and family, we live in Hampton Bays, and I opened the Golden Pear in Southampton in 1987, opened here in East Hampton in 91, and in Bridgehampton in 1996. As the news began to unfold about the pandemic, we were not sure what was going to happen out here. So as the leader of the company, I just kind of kept in touch and listening to the news, understanding what was going to happen next. And then when Governor Cuomo began to issue executive orders regarding restaurants and the hospitality industry, by the middle to end of March, we actually had to remove all of our interior seating from the Golden Pear Cafes. I wasn't sure if we should stay open or if we should close. Gave it some thought and decided, no, we're going to keep the cafes open. We began advertising that we had takeout and curbside pickup. And also there is a food ordering app called Chow Now, which we've had for a few years, which became very instrumental and very helpful in continuing to stay in business. Being concerned for one's own health became a priority. The health of myself, my family, my employees, customers, things like that. So as the state began to issue those protocols of social distancing and mask wearing and stuff like that, we did everything to comply and do the best that we could to basically navigate through those difficulties and challenges of the early days of the pandemic. We also do catering, a significant amount of catering, and that went to zero. You know, we had parties and events that were planned for the summer of 2020. That all came to an end. So we realized that catering business was going to be nothing for that whole year. We were not sure what was going to happen to sales. I was managing and monitoring the sales of the cafes versus the prior year just to get a sense. It took a good 20-25% drop in sales from the prior year. But then as we entered into May, there was significant improvement. A lot of people began coming out here. In end of March and April, a lot of people came to the Hamptons as a refuge. Fortunately, we were allowed to do outdoor seating, so that was very helpful. But there was a lot of apprehension, as you may remember, especially the city of New York was much worse. You know, restaurants were closing, the bar businesses were shutting down, stuff, very sad. But we were actually part of what's called the essential businesses, and we were able to stay open and do a lot of things. So we just get creative, work hard, get through it. I had a few employees that did get COVID. I got COVID. I actually got COVID in 2021, this year. But last year, we set in place a protocol of respiratory illness of any kind. Even if you're wearing a mask, you were sent home and you had to go to the doctor and you had to get tested. Look, you just don't know. You know, we're a very high volume business operation. There were very few times that I had to ask customers, hey, put on a mask, or hey, you know, maintain 6 feet. This is a demographic out here, you know, affluent, highly educated, that, you know, respected and understood those protocols, and they really abided by them, and things worked out very well for the Golden Pear as a result of that. We still are very concerned with the protocols because of the recent mutations of the virus. Unfortunately, I think we're going to be dealing with this for the rest of our lifetime. I try to read and get information from good sources to kind of understand what science is saying about the pandemic. Vaccinations, this first round of vaccinations, seems to be very effective. And now we're finding out through these mutations that the vaccines may have to change to attack those spike proteins. I hope and pray that we never go back to what happened, where those types of protocols of shutting things down and whatnot. Well, one interesting conversation I had was with an employee who got very sick and was in Southampton Hospital for 12 weeks. And you know what he told me? He died. He left his body. He went to heaven, saw his family, and they told him, it's not your time. His grandfather said to him, I live to be 95 years old. You're a young man. You have to go back. And he came back and told me how he experienced even going back into his body and woke up a day later. And the doctor said it was a miracle that he lived. Nobody survived as long as he did. It was just a profound conversation that we had, in my office after that whole thing. He lost 45 pounds. It was incredible. I mean, really was so close to losing him. So we're very grateful that he made it through. My wife and I went to Florida in April of this year. 5 days in, I was like, this is not good. Immediately flew home, went to the doctor, and she was like, you're going to be okay. You're young, strong. Give it 3 or 4 days. You're going to be fine. 5 days later, I had double lung pneumonia. Stayed home for 14 days. Lots of golden pear chicken soup. And after about 4 days, I woke up and I knew it broke. And I got over it, which was great, And so there's lots of stories out there like that. Fortunately, they are very good, positive endings that we were able to get through it. We're still here. Very difficult times for a lot of people, for sure, 100%. Survival. Survival. Keeping the business going. And I'll tell you, as a man of faith, in my conversations with God about everything going on and how are we going to survive? How are we going to get through this? I'll never forget that one day God spoke into my heart these words. Keith, you're in a storm and you're the captain of your ship. I want you to steer that ship directly into the waves and keep going. And do not steer the boat to the left or to the right. Do anything different. Get through it. And so that's what I did. I kept the ship pointed in the direction and going through day by day by day by day, week by week, month by month. And we got through. Things got better. Things got better. Things got better. So, yeah, survival. That was really the one word that would describe the past 24 months